My name is MoHZareei. I live in New Zealand and I work with sound and audiovisual objects, both in the digital and also the sort of physical sense of the word. I was born and raised in Iran. I grew up there and I went to university. I studied physics at the University of Tehran. So I wasn't formally trained as a musician or an artist until I moved to California in 2010 to study music technology at Cal Arts. And that's where I started to see a very big overlap between physics of sound and light travel and certain approaches to sound and audiovisual art led by artists such as Riji Akira, which I found quite inspiring. I grew up in a brutalist apartment complex in west of Tehran called Ekbatan. And growing up and living among these beautifully geometric blocks of concrete really kind of formed a big part of my identity and my sense of aesthetics. So I came to New Zealand to do my PhD on what can be summarized as brutalist sound sculpture, where I started building links between my background in physics, the sort of post-digital wave of radical minimalism that I was really influenced by, and of course my deep-rooted affinity with brutalist architecture because of where I grew up. So brutalist architecture is mainly about some sort of an unapologetic and undecorated celebration of conventionally non-beautiful raw material like concrete, and in a very direct, functional, and sort of almost confrontational way. So in the same way in my work, I'm really interested in investing in the beauty and the very simple, raw, reductionist sonic and audiovisual material or structures. So material music consists of a series of sound sculptures, and at the heart of each one of them is a sample block of a solid matter like glass, steel, wood, marble, these kind of different materials. And in each unit, the material block has two solenoids, which are electromagnetic actuators that can move back and forth. So two solenoids are mounted on each side of the material block, and the solenoids can strike the material and make an audible contact, so strike it acoustically, physically. So to give you a bit of background, over the past decade or so, there's been a very noticeable resurgence of the physical object in sound-based arts. So the main idea behind material music is to really highlight the significance of this actual physical materiality within contemporary sound and audiovisual art. So the solenoids themselves are controlled using a small microcontroller, a teensy board, which is programmed ahead of time. And when the piece starts, all these actuators start hitting the material block simultaneously in sync at the rate of once per second. So while the actuator on the left-hand side in each unit keeps this rate throughout, this once per second rate, the signal that drives the right-hand side solenoid is very subtly and gradually delayed with each subsequent pulse. So the delay time for each unit is calculated based on the speed of sound traveling in that particular material that is used in that unit. So since the speed of sound traveling in different materials and media is different, based on the material, these delay times are then also different. And over time, the right-hand side pulses start shifting out of sync, and then you start hearing and seeing these interlocking and phasing patterns that move in and out of sync with each other. creating syncopated rhythms against the constant pulse on the left-hand side actuator, which keeps that once per second rhythm. So essentially, you have these ever-evolving rhythmic structures that can be heard and also viewed throughout through the movement of the actuators, which is entirely and directly derived from the very essence of the physical material and objects that are used in this piece.